Hey Ricky, it's a beautiful day. Why don't you come on over and hang out with us for the day? I'd love to, but we're haying. What does that even mean? This is part of haying season. These pieces of machinery is what makes our hay. The hay is what we need to store for the winter to feed our hungry animals. This is a haybine. Ours is a little bit older, still gets the job done. There are many different styles and shapes out there of all of this equipment that I'm going to show you. But this is just what we have, and this is what works for us on our small farm. This machine is what cuts the hay, puts it in rows. Then it has to dry for 3 or 4 days. Some farmers actually have something that's called a rake, where they'll flip the hay. We don't have one of those. We just let it dry naturally, and 3 to 4 days later, we're ready to bale it. This baler is a square baler used to bale up the hay. So the windrow would be in the front here, and it goes in as a windrow and comes out as a hay bale. This particular one makes small square bales. Some people will attach a basket on the back. Some people will have a thrower where the hay gets thrown into a wagon, or like we do, it'll just drop on the ground and then we have to go around and pick it up. This is the round baler, and this is Thomas's favorite. He likes it because it doesn't require as much work. He just gets on, he drives a tractor, this thing gobbles up the windrows and spits out a nice big round bale. It requires less work, less time. The only thing is, if you don't have a big barn big enough to store the bales in, then you end up tarping them outside, which we do have to do with some of ours now that we've moved to this new farm and we don't have our big old barn. This is the basic machinery you need to get started in making your own hay on the farm. Along with all the haying equipment, we need the tractor. This is what pulls everything. This is what gets the job done. We could not have our farm run and all the haying equipment run without this baby. She's not the biggest one out there. She's not the best one out there, but she's perfect for what we need her to do. Come along with me on this haying season and I'll show you what it's all about. So the first thing that needs to happen is you have to lower the haybine so that it is in the cutting position. When you first saw it, it was in the driving position, which means it's elevated, and then it needs to be turned on. And as he turns it on, he has to speed it up before he can actually get going to get cutting. And then you see here he's started cutting. So that is called a haybine, and that cuts the hay and then drops it in this stuff here, and that area there is called a windrow. And the windrow is what we wait to dry in order for us to be able to make our hay. First pass, he actually has to drive on the hay that's not cut, and then when he comes around the whole field, he'll then have to turn around and then go the other direction so that he's not running on the fresh grass. Instead, what he'll be doing is driving on the windrow. So the field that he's doing right now is a little under 5 acres. It's one of the smallest fields. It's right behind our horse field, and usually as soon as the hay is off on this field, we actually turn the goats and the horse out on this field. So haying a season is a lot of looking over your shoulder and getting a nice cramp in your back. So you got to watch all the equipment behind you. So here, let's show you an up close again of the drop and then of the slow speeding up of the machinery itself. Now you'll see here the front has like rollers with tines on the front of it. And what that actually is going to do is it's going to pull the grass towards it, cutter are down underneath. It's going to cut the grasses and then it's going to push it up through a set of rollers, which then push it in through the back, and then it comes out as what we call the windrow in the very back. I'm just going to slow the video down here for a sec. I just want you to see how often Thomas is actually looking over his shoulder to watch the machinery. So one thing I didn't get to show you because Thomas was too quick was the preparation that went into the haybine. But here you can see all the machinery gets prepped, oiled and greased. And here I'm going to zoom in on this one for a sec. And you can see when the grease comes out, then you know you have enough grease in the area that you're applying it to. And where he's putting it, they're called grease nipples. And there are piles of these things all over these machineries. You got to find them all. You got to do the maintenance for them. And you got to make sure that they're all looked after. This is called the knotters, and it's one of the most important parts of the machinery. That's where a good number of the grease nipples are and need to be looked after. So as you see here, that is the place that the twine goes and how it all gets threaded through. The twine is what ties the bales together, and it's obviously an important part. So that's its little storage compartment over there. Thomas just working on doing some more of the greasing. So Thomas is actually just cleaning the top of the nipples from leftover debris so that they're ready to apply the grease to. If you ever wonder why a farmer's hands are always dirty, this would be why. No matter how much you wash them, the grease never fully comes off. Okay, so this area that we're looking at right now, this is called the knotter, and so this is what Thomas is greasing right now. And I think he had mentioned that there was something like 18 to 20 grease nipples in this area alone. This is a very important part of the machinery. This is where the twine gets knotted and therefore then can make a bale of hay. It will tie the bales in individual bales, cut the twine, and then get ready to move on to the next bale of hay. All right, let's take the baler out for a spin. Just like the haybine, you have to start slow. I actually have to manually drop this one down to make it into the drive position, unlike the haybine, which we can automatically drop from the tractor. I have to manually drop the yellow part of this down. It has a very similar setup where it has little tines on the front that pull the hay in. Once the hay is pulled in, it goes into a mechanism that pushes it to the right side, and then it continues to push it through to the back, which is where then the twine goes around it and then knots it, and then it will spit out a bale of hay, which you can kind of see here. All right, so it's kind of hard to drive and pick up hay and videotape all at the same time, but we're trying to make this work so that you can see what we're doing here. So give me a second. I'm gonna pan you around the field here. Hopefully you don't get too seasick, and I'm gonna show you how we pick them up off the field. I'm really lucky, and I have some great neighborhood kids and my own kids that put in a lot of time picking hay up off the field and putting it into the barn this year. So thanks to all of these hard-working kids. At least maybe I can get a couple bales coming out. Kids are fantastic, hardworking kids, and all they ask for is a swim and some ice cream.
Now it's time for the hay to go up in the barn. Now, as you can see, we are a hot summer day, and Casey is wearing full gear. So she has coveralls on, she has boots on, and she has gloves on. And that is because the bales will be very stick-like and leave pokies all over you, and it hurts. So this is how we get our hay into the barn. That one will head up to the top. Already got another one on. That'll drop off. And then I gotta head up there and pile them up. And I'll take a quick video and show you how we do that too.
Our elevator is an electric elevator, and so it can only handle 2 bales at a time. So you can see Casey is only putting 2 on at a time. Now here we are in the hay mow itself, and there's a number of us working in here, and I'll walk you through the steps through here too.
So there's the bale that comes up, it drops off, and then we stack them. On top of the hay as we stack, we're sprinkling salt. And the reason behind that is to help if they're not dried out, to dry them out. Because hay that is warm and a little damp can combust and cause barn fires. It doesn't need matches. It will simply heat up and cause fires on its own. Now I'll have to stack. So when we stack the hay in the hay mow, there's a certain way to do it. You can't just stack willy-nilly. This has to hold itself up. So we actually stack in the opposite direction. So if you'll notice, the hay on the bottom is going this way, the next level will go this way, and so on and so forth all the way up. That way it ensures that the corners don't collapse in and push the old wood of the barn out. We also don't want to push against the old beams, so the hay has to be able to hold itself up. So we also have to make sure that the outside bales are good, strong bales, not banana shaped or funny shaped bales. All of these ones are carefully selected because they hold the whole foundation up.
And then we head back out to the field, pick up another load. And this will go on until all the hay is up off of the ground. So you can see here, the kids walk ahead, someone's driving the vehicle, and then they stack. They each go from side to side, and they stack all the hay. This year in the hayfield, we had an event happen that I have never had happen before. At one point, Thomas was stopped with the machinery, and suddenly this wind came around and whipped the windrows around him. And then it just kept going and going and going. It was like there was like a little tornado in the field, and you can see here, it was like picking up the hay and tossing it around. And it was just like little spirals, like a little tornado. Well, the kids were pretty funny. We had been snacking on Twizzlers, and they had said, "Oh, it's a tornado, it's a Twizzler, run for your life!" And it's happening because we had Twizzlers. And you can just see, like, it just went on and on and on. I have never seen such a phenomenon. And apparently it's a heat cyclone because, as I stated before, we are doing this on the hottest days in the summer. You can see there was, as quickly as it came, it went, and then it just left these bits of our hay floating in the air. Well, guys, we made it to the last rounds of hay, And as you can see, there's a lot of walking and a lot of stacking and a lot of hay in this barn. So at this point, it's more of a jigsaw puzzle than a perfectly stacked, everything goes in the perfect direction. And thankfully, then the dads are off of the other machinery and come help out in the barn. Now, the other gentleman you're seeing in this picture is our neighbor. It's his kids that you've seen throughout this video helping us out. We definitely could not have gotten through this haying season this year and last year without all their help. So neighbors are awesome. We love it. They don't ask questions. They just come and help. And as you can see, they can throw the hay around the barn and get it stacked in, which is a lot easier than us girls having to walk through the haymow with it. Now you can see his daughter here is putting salt down, which we had talked about. And it's not a haying season unless you get taken out by a bale, which she almost did there. It's kind of funny. The salter always is the one that has to dance around the bales coming in and getting stacked in. See, she dance around that one with her foot being stuck. You can see here she's just putting the salt down on the hay bale, and as per the normal, she got taken out by a hay bale. It's just the way it happens on the farm. There we have it. These are the last couple bales going in up near the heat in the top of the barn, and then we are done square bales for the season. All right, time to move on to the round baler. There's maintenance that's going into it. He's just doing the tie strings here, just making sure everything's in place and that the cutters are working, threaded through properly. And then let's head out to the field. Here we go, round and round and round we go. It's very dusty. You can see a lot of the dust coming off the top. Now some of that has to do with the fact that we cut very late this year and we are in a bit of a drought, but hey, we're still getting hay, so I ain't complaining. Right now this machine is stopped moving forward because inside the machine it's actually tying the hay bale, which means it's spinning it around, and as it spins the twine is going round and round and round. And you have to stop for that to happen. And then you open up when it says it's done, and out comes the bale. Unfortunately, this bale doesn't look the greatest. We were having some twine issues. It wasn't tying it properly, so this bale, you can see he's dealing with some issues here, and yeah, he's a little upset.
We're having some issues with the baler tying the hay properly. One of the things with having equipment is, you know, things go wrong, it happens. You just do your best to fix them and keep going, because you got to get it done before the rain comes.
I ended up popping over there and winding that twine around the hay bale as best I could and tying it off. And then we found a way to make the machine tie it properly. It's just a quick fix, and it just finished off the year for us so that we didn't have to bring it in and get it fixed. We really just needed to get all of this hay done. You can see, this is on fast forward, obviously. He can still move pretty quick with the round bale because it gobbles up the windrows pretty quickly, which is why he loves his machine so much. It's not near as much work as it is with the square baler. And just giving you another shot here up and down the rows so you can see what's going on and all the dust coming off. And he's stopped now. There should be a bale coming out.
So right now he's standing still because the bale is tying in there. And then once it's done tying, you continue forward. You have to stop while it's tying. Otherwise, if you'll gobble up more hay on top of the twine. And out she comes.
Right, let's finish up this run here, and then I want to give you a close-up shot of the back of the tractor.
and what happens when you're on the back. So you can see here, it's gobbling up the hay in the front there, and moving along quickly here. Now pay attention to the blue twine that you can see on the right hand side of the screen there, and watch what happens. Now you see, did you see that it was loose and now it's tight? So that's an indication that we need to stop. And now you can see the twine is moving. If you look on the left hand side there, you'll see that it says cut and it slides across. And that's when it said cut, the bale was done, and now it comes out. And then off we go again. And he continues on down the field. There is a bale left behind. And I'm sorry I didn't pan back to show you. I was so busy concentrating on showing you him leaving.
The end of the season.
This is the hay mow that is now filled with square bales. We have over 800 bales in the barn. This is our size. This will feed our goats for the winter. Just to give you an idea, let's go for a walk. I'm actually walking up. So this is at the top of the barn, and it's really hot up here. The heat off the tin roof is pretty warm. Lots of hay. These are our round bales. We make our round bales 4x4, so they're not super big, because most of the time it's the girls and I having to move them around, and the bigger they are, the more they weigh, the harder they are to roll around. So we keep ours small. They come in various sizes, thousands of pounds. Ours aren't that big, just for maneuverability, and so that we can fit 15 of these guys in our main barn. Being stored outside is not the greatest thing, but this is what we have, this is what we work. You look behind here, you can see a tarp. When the weather turns and it rains and stuff, we just pop the tarp over the hay. Otherwise, it's outside uncovered. But between those 15 round bales and these ones out here, this will feed Red, our horse, for the winter. If we had multiple horses like we have in the past, this would not be sufficient for 2 horses, but it is fine for 1. And the 800 square bales in the barn is sufficient for the goats. So the next time you ask a farmer why they can't go to the beach with you, why they can't hang out with you, why they don't have a day off in the summer, I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea as to why that's the case. Don't forget to give us a like and a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and share with all your friends. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the farm. We'll see you next time.